Greatest Mexican ever. It should pop up for fighters.
This is high-speed chess. That's what you're watching.
Perfect. Here we go. What's going on, my boys? We're back with another deep dive into one of the greatest fighters ever resumed, Mr. Canelo Alvarez. Right, a lot of you guys have been requesting more from this series. A lot of guys have been requesting Canelo. Y'all like my rankings. I guess we go through it all. We look at who Canelo beat. How good of a resume does Canelo have? Is it overrated? Was he harsh on Crawford? Are their resumes very close, or is there a huge gap like Canelo Alvarez was saying? So we got the ring rankings pulled up. You know how we do it. We got fight facts pulled up as well because the WBA is missing off of BoxRec. So let's go to the first ever relevant fight in Canelo Alvarez's career. He turns pro in 2005. He fights in Mexico. I think he makes his first American fight in 2010. No, 2008. 2008. His first ever relevant fight. He wins the NABF title very early on in his career. He wins the WBC Youth World title pretty early as well. And then he wins the WBC Silver title pretty early on. The first win I'm looking at that's kind of catching my eye, it's probably going to be Carlos Baldomir. I know Baldomir. You know Baldomir. At this point, Baldomir was not a great fighter. Right? He got stopped by Canelo in 6. This was a 10-rounder. He was losing to guys like this. You know, he was not a great fighter at this point. I wouldn't even say Baldomir. He's a name, but not great at that point. Matthew Hatton. We'll look at Matthew Hatton. This was Canelo Alvarez's first ever world title fight. Alvarez was deducted a point for hitting after the break in round 7. Nonetheless, Canelo dominated Matthew Hatton. This was at Canelo came in at 151.5 pounds for the WBC Junior Middleweight World Title. So let's take a look. Matthew Hatton. Who was Matthew Hatton? Who did he beat after Canelo? Who did he beat before fighting Canelo? He fought Kell Brook. Got dominated by Kell Brook in 2012. Just a year after fighting Canelo. He got back in the ring. Won a IBF International welterweight title. Which is interesting. This was his 154 debut, I believe. Unless this was at 154. Back in 2010. He was not a 154 pounder. I'm assuming him and Canelo fought a catch weight for the title. Neither one of them came in over 152. Matthew Hatton he had losses on his resume. He's been stopped before. I was back in 03. He debuted in 2000, so he's a bit older at this point, I'm assuming. He's about 12 years into his career, 11 years into his career. It was okay on the UK scene. He came over, captured the IBO World Welterweight title. Lost the Commonwealth title. Captured the IBF International. He's an okay win. He's a 4.5 out of 10 type of guy. He's okay. Matthew Hatton for your first world title fight, it's not crazy. Then Canelo goes on. He defends it against Ryan Rhodes. He stops Ryan Rhodes in the 12th. This is at 154 pounds. Ryan Rhodes goes down in the 4th. This was in Mexico. Let's take a look at Ryan Rhodes. 46-6. He was stopped 4 times. He retired just a year after Canelo beat him. Seems a bit older. When did he make his debut? He made his debut in 95, and I think that's all that I need to see. I don't care if he was a world champion. Canelo fought him in 2011. He was about, what are we looking at, 16 years into his career. Old guy, washed up. Then he goes on Alfonso Gomez. He stops in the 6th round. Alfonso Gomez, 25-6, fought Canelo in 2011. Yep. Gomez went down in the 1st. Before that fight, Miguel Cotto made him quit on the stool, I'm assuming. He stopped Arturo Gatti in 2007. Not a crazy win, but something to, worth noting. Lost to UD in a 7-rounder. Fought some 5-rounders. Man. It's not a great win again. It's not. Alfonso Gomez. Nah, that ain't it, dog. I'd say Alfonso Gomez. These three are all about 4.5s in my opinion. These are just not good wins. Canelo's still fairly young. He's about 21 at this point, though. So we haven't even really cracked the ice. He goes on. He fights Kermit Cintron, 39-6, being stopped 4 times. He went on to fight a little bit after fighting Canelo. Canelo fought him in 2011. He went on to have a draw. Yeah, this guy is beat by Paul Williams. He fell out the ring against Paul Williams. Okay. These scorecards are crazy. One judge had the guy up all 4 rounds. Another judge had Paul Williams up all 4 rounds. These scorecards were crazy. Got stopped by Margarito back in 08. It's not a great fighter right here. He's another 4.5 guy, man. I'm not even giving him that. Not even giving him that. I don't even know if Canelo's fought a ranked fighter yet. What are we looking at? 2011? No ranked fighters yet. Beating on a bunch of low-level guys. Then he goes on, he fights the great Shane Mosley. Oh, man. Where was Shane Mosley at in his career? Shane Mosley fought Canelo in 2012. He went on to fight about 5 more times after that. Never fighting for a world title again. Obviously, very far from the days of his, peak, right? He was coming off the Manny Pacquiao beatdown. Draw with Sergio Mora. He fought him a year after Floyd beat him. It was his second fight, or no, third, fourth. He been at 154 for a while. Was he ranked is the question. Shane Mosley in 2012? Was not ranked. Let's look at, was he ranked at welterweight at least? 2010 welterweights. Let's see. Shane Mosley was not even ranked at welterweight. He was ranked 5th in 2010. When are we saying Canelo fought him? 2012. 2011 he was not ranked. 2012 he was not ranked. I don't think he ever goes on to be ranked again. Just to make sure, at junior middleweight, I'm not seeing any Shane Mosley. Nah, that's not a great win. At the time for a 21-year-old, maybe. But in the grand scope of Canelo's career, this is another 5.5. I'll give him that much. Then he goes on, he fights Josito Lopez. Stopped him in 5. Finished his career 38-9. He lost a majority decision to Keith Thurman. Okay. Got stopped by Berto. Stopped by Maidana. He retired Victor Ortiz. He made Victor Ortiz quit on the stool, I'm assuming. He broke Victor Ortiz's jaw. Split decision loss to Jesse Vargas. Really close fight there. Won the NABF title by way of stoppage. This isn't a terrible one. It's Canelo best win to date. This guy was coming off breaking Victor Ortiz's jaw. And then even after that, he goes on and he still fights world champion level guys. And Marcos Maidana, he got stopped. I get it. Andre Berto, he got stopped. I get it. But he takes Keith Thurman to majority decision years after fighting Canelo. So, and then he fights John Molina Jr. He stopped John Molina Jr. This was the guy on Terrence Crawford's resume. Let me double check that. John Molina. Terrence Crawford, 2016. So he stopped the guy. Crawford stopped in 8. He stopped him in 8 as well. What does that tell you about John Molina Jr. and Terrence Crawford's resume? But hey, I think to date, this is probably Canelo's best win, just because we're looking at breaking Victor Ortiz's draw. Victor Ortiz in 2012 wasn't the best fighter, but he's still okay. I think this guy, who are we looking at here? Josito Lopez, he's a 6 out of 10 win. He goes on, he fights an undefeated Austin Trout. UD Austin Trout. 154. Austin Trout is still fighting to this day, I believe. Maybe not. Last fight was in 2023. Let's see where Austin Trout was at 154. Real close welterweight. 154. This was in it's got to be like 2014, right? When did they fight? He fought Canelo in 2013. 2013, Austin Trout was number 5. Austin Trout was undefeated. He was coming off a Miguel Cotto win in 2012. Miguel Cotto was ranked number 4, so he's coming off a really good Miguel Cotto win. Right at that point, Miguel Cotto had only lost to Floyd Manny and obviously Margarito, who we don't talk about. This is a really good win. Never really fought for anything. He fought for the WBC Continental Americas title. Outside of that, never really fought for any regional or anything. Fought Cotto. Let me tap in with my guy Fight Facts really quick. Where would this fight be at? We're looking at 2013. 2000. Austin Trout. See, make sure he just didn't hold the WBA. Because he has some 12 rounders. Just making sure. It would be on this page. Miguel Cotto. This is what I'm saying. This is the things I've been missing in my videos. Austin Trout was the WBA super welterweight, junior middleweight, whatever you want to call it, champion at that time. Actually, he was defending it. He won it for a while. See, when did he win this title? Won it here. He still had it here. So he got it off this guy. Don't know who he is. 27-2. He defended it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Miguel Cotto being the last time, and then Canelo takes it from him. Canelo unifies the division. Austin Trout was in his prime, a champion in the division, was ranked in the division for a while. Let's see how long he was ranked in the division. Austin Trout was ranked for 7 years consecutively. Canelo went in there, put on a pretty good showcase against him. Pretty lopsided fight. That is a spectacular win by Canelo Alvarez at that point. That's a prime guy who's captured the title. He's defended it against a Hall of Fame ranked Miguel Cotto. Just to add some more validity to what I'm going to give this win, Cotto was ranked in that division for 6 years consecutively. Austin Trout was the only guy to beat him in that division outside of the great Floyd Mayweather, right? So I'm going to give that one, that's an 8 out of 10 victory, man. That's a really good victory. Now, we do got to look at what Austin Trout did after that. I do got to be honest. He went on to lose to Lara, which is fine. He goes on to lose to Jamal, which is fine. He doesn't really lose to anyone. Okay, yeah, in 2017. We're stepping a bit away from when Canelo fought him. They fought in 2013, so yeah, that's fine. Then Canelo fights Floyd Mayweather Jr. Majority decision. This was the most BS scorecard of all time. Definitely not a majority decision. All the titles are on the line in this fight. Canelo gets dominated. It is what it is. He was 23. Alfredo Angulo was this for a world title. Alfredo Angulo. Why are we looking at Terrence Crawford? Why are we looking at Loma? Here we go. So this will probably be on page 3. This was not for a world title. Lara wasn't for a world title. Kirkland wasn't for a world title. Let's see, when the next time Canelo captured the world title? Miguel Cotto. Okay. So he fights this guy. He's 22-3. Finished his career 26-8. Pretty good knockout rate. He went on, lost split decision to Sergio Mora. He got stopped by Canelo. He got stopped by Lara. Got stopped by James Kirkland. He was the interim WBO champion for a while. He actually fought in the WBC junior middleweight title eliminator, which he lost to Kermit Cintron, which I believe is a guy Canelo also fought. Stopped Gabe Rosado, who didn't stop Gabe Rosado. It's an okay win. It's another 5. You know, not a guy with a whole lot of championship experience. He goes on and he fights Lara. Now, Lara is a guy I do want to look at a bit closer. This may be one of those wins again. A lot of people, you know, say, oh, well, Canelo didn't win this fight, whatever. I got to go off what we've seen. Lara fought Canelo 2014, 2015, right? 2014, Canelo fought Lara. Lara was the WBA interim for a while. I don't know if he ever captured the title before fighting Canelo. But he does go on to capture it in the very next fight. And he does go on to defend that title for years and years. And if we even go to our next page, Lara's still defending that title for years and years until he loses split decision to Jared Hurd. And then he goes split decision with Castano, which is okay. But then he goes, he still grabs the same title back. He defends it again. And he eventually moves up in 2021, becoming a 2-division champion, capturing that same WBA title. This is a really good win. This is Lara probably at the peak of his powers. This is a guy who wasn't champion yet, but captures it in the very next fight. All right, he captures the title in the very next fight, and he defends it. And he's been fighting at the championship level even to this day in 2025. So this is a guy who is an elite fighter. This is, you know, a guy who's been fighting championship level since 2014. It's 2025. He still has the right to call himself champion. This is a 9 out of 10 type of victory. Now, let's see how long Lara was ranked. Lara has been ranked every single year almost of an entire decade. 9 years consecutively. Even if you guys want to move into the 2020, where are we looking at? Middleweight, 2020s. What do we got here? Why does it always do this? Can we go? Let me see. Let's open these up real quick. 2020, Lara wasn't ranked at middle. When did he move to middleweight? I think 21. They only got heavyweight for 20. 21. He wasn't ranked yet. 22. He was ranked number 10. 23. He jumps up to number 3. 24. He goes to number 4. Right? So we're looking at a guy who's been fighting at the championship level since 2014. And we're also looking at a guy who was ranked from 2011 all the way to 2019, never leaving the top 5. He's been ranked top 5 for a decade in this division. Canelo beat him at the peak of his powers. On top of that, he goes up to middleweight, and he also ranks himself at middleweight for 3 consecutive years. This is a 9.5, if not one of those 10 out of 10 wins. This is a great victory. I'm not gonna say 10. I give it a really good 9.5. Then Canelo goes on. He stops James Kirkland in 3. James Kirkland was 32-1. Who did he lose to at that point? So James Kirkland had lost to this guy. Don't know who this was. He got stopped in the first round. Kirkland went down 3 times. Kirkland had never fought for a world title. He was making his world title debut. It was an okay fighter. He was stopping everybody. He was stopping everybody. He had a bit of a hiccup here. He got back on track. He went on to stop his next 3 opponents. This Alfredo Anguolo guy Canelo fought. Yeah, he was hard hitting. He was solid, I guess. He was stopping a lot of people. We could take a look at where James Kirkland was ranked in that division. James Kirkland was ranked in 2011, 2012 at 6 and 8. Canelo fought him in 2015. It's a 6 out of 10 win. It's an okay win. I give it a 6. James Kirkland was a very okay fighter. Goes on, fights Miguel Cotto in 2015. I know you guys are saying, oh, Miguel Cotto. Let's see where he was ranked. Cotto. Miguel Cotto was ranked consecutively for 4 years. In 2014, he leaves the list for who knows what. He comes back in 2015 at number 3, and then he comes back in 2016 at number 4. Right? So, it's a good guy at the time. It's a really good guy at the time. Miguel Cotto was also an active world champion. Miguel Cotto was able to capture the WBC world title from Sergio Martinez. Right? Martinez down 3 times in round 1. Martinez never received a count in round 1. Oh, Martinez received a count in round 1. Okay. So, he stopped Sergio Martinez. Right? If we could get a rundown on Sergio at middleweight? Or Sergio at middleweight at this point? That's weird. Am I spelling this right? Sergio. The Sergio Martinez. In 2014 wasn't ranked. That seems a bit off. Martinez. Sergio Gabriel Martinez? That has to be him. Okay, that has to be Sergio Martinez. Now, I don't know if he was ever ranked at junior middle. No, he wasn't. So Sergio Martinez, let's take a look at him. Sergio Martinez was not only ranked consecutively for 5 years at middleweight, he was ranked number 1 consecutively 4 years until Miguel Cotto had beaten him. Did Canelo fought? Canelo, okay. We're moving away from junior middle. The weights are messing me up because Canelo came in 155. Cotto came in 153 and a half. But this was for the world middleweight title. So this was Canelo's middleweight debut, I'm assuming. So we're done with junior middle. We can honestly close out junior middle. We're at middleweight now. So Miguel Cotto had dethroned Sergio Martinez, who was the number 1 guy. The number 1, not, this fake 2 or interim or NABF. He was number 1, right? Miguel Cotto had beaten Sergio Martinez. He stopped him. Miguel Cotto takes over as the number 1 guy in the division over Gennady Golovkin. Canelo then puts a beating on Miguel Cotto. Right? This is a great win. And we can even take a deeper look into this win. So they fought in 2015? That might be on page 2. 2015 Miguel Cotto. Yep. So we could take a deeper look into this. Right? Miguel Cotto had lost to Austin Trout, which is Austin Trout we said was a great fighter for Canelo. Was a 9 out of 10 victory for Canelo. He lost to Floyd Mayweather Jr., which is okay, but we understand Miguel Cotto is one of the greatest fighters ever. He's a 4-division champion. What we really need to look at is who Sergio Martinez was at this point. Sergio Martinez. When did he capture this title? How long did he hold it? So he captured the WBC and WBO off Kelly Pavlik, I believe. Yeah. So he captures it off Kelly Pavlik. I'm assuming he defends it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then he's unable to defend it 7 times because Miguel Cotto is in his way. And guess what? Miguel Cotto gets brutalized by Canelo. This win right here is another 9 out of 10 victory. We love to say Cotto was old. Was he Up there in age, yes, absolutely, I agree. But we need to look at where he was at in his career. Was he on this steep decline where he was just being passed around? No, he wasn't. He was number one in the division. That has to be acknowledged when we talk about Miguel Cotto. Not his age, but where he was at. He was number one. He came off beating the last number one for the last 4 years. Great win. He gets Amir Khan next. Amir Khan, he stopped in 6. I think we've all seen that knockout, that fight. Amir Khan had jumped up to weight, or did they do a catchweight of 55? This was a middleweight fight, but they both came in at 55. I'm gonna say he jumped up one weight division. Amir Khan was obviously he was champion. Was he champ? Yeah, Amir Khan was champ. He's champ at 140. Lost to Lamont Peterson, stopped by Danny Garcia. Yeah, I think he stopped Maidana, didn't he? I swear Amir Khan stopped Maidana. Well, he didn't stop Maidana. He UD'd Maidana. Beat Malignaggi. Beat a pretty old Barrera. This has nothing to do with the Canelo fight, though. What did he do after that? He goes back down and he loses to Crawford, loses to Kelber. This is not a great victory. And I'm assuming Amir Khan was never ranked at 160. If we look at our 2010 welterweights, he was ranked 3 years at welterweight. Canelo moved him up and beat him. He was a ranked welterweight moving up to middle, but really junior middle. It's a 6.5 win. Doesn't really move me much. Doesn't really move me at all, really. 6.5 or a 6. You slice your cake. Liam Smith is next. 23-0. One draw. Canelo stopped Mr. Liam Smith for the WBO super welterweight title. So Canelo goes back down. This is really weird. Canelo has never had an official fight at 160 yet. Really weird. But his last 2 fights were at 160. He fought Cotto and Khan at middleweight, but the fights weren't at 160. Then he goes back down to his natural 154 to fight Liam Smith, who was 23-0 at the time. He's 33-5 right now, coming off a stoppage loss to Chris Eubank Jr. 2023. But he also stopped Chris Eubank Jr. Stopped Jesse Vargas. Let's see, when did he fight Canelo? Lost to Jaime Munguia. At this point, Liam Smith was stopping everybody. There was a point he was stopping a lot of people. Seemed really good on that UK scene. He had the Commonwealth title. He had the Triple BFC title. He actually captured a world title. He defended that world title quite a bit until Canelo went and got it up off of him. So that's a really good win. That's another 7.5, 8 out of 10 win. And then he goes on to also beats Chris Eubank Jr. That's really an 8. I like that win. Like, I'm trying to be consistent here. I gave Victor Postol an 8. Victor Postol had a really great career. Even though it's under the radar, that's a really great win at the time, especially in the division. We can even look at where Liam Smith was ranked at junior middle. We can open junior middle back up. 2010s we're still in. See, Liam Smith was ranked in 2015 9th, 2016 at 8th, 2017 at 6th. And then he never joins the rankings again. I'm assuming because he moved up to middleweight. Does he ever join the middleweight rankings? No? Okay. Not really. Goes on, fights Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He was 52-1. This was at a catchweight of 164. Cesar Chavez Jr. was a former world champion. Don't believe he was active at the time. Lost to Sergio Martinez. He was a 160 pounder. So yeah, he had the WBC title. What are we looking for here? Cesar He was ranked in 2011 and 2012. When did Canelo fight him? Canelo fought him in 2017. So you hadn't been ranked in years at this point. It's a bit of a cash grab fight for Canelo. He hasn't been champion since 2012. So yeah, Canelo's fighting about 5 years past the peak of his powers. Not a great one at all. He goes on, he fights the undefeated Gennady Golovkin. This is his first ever official fight at 160 pounds. Despite him fighting Cotto and Khan at middleweight, both were not at 160. He fights Triple G at 160. It's a fight I thought Canelo personally lost. I'm not going to hold it against him on this one. This is a draw. And if you want to look at the performance he had, or just the fact that he was able to take Golovkin to a draw, it's pretty impressive. Pretty damn impressive. Then he goes on, he beats Golovkin by a majority decision. Do we need to do the breakdown on Golovkin? How long Golovkin was champion? How many faces he broke? How many hearts he ripped out? How many dreams he crushed? The silver medalist from 2004, Triple G. Great on the amateur scene, great in the regional Germany scene. He comes over, works his way over to America. It translates spectacular, right? He stops everybody for an 8-year period. He has the highest middleweight knockout percentage in championship fights of all time. That's over Hagler. That's over what's my boy's name? Can't even remember his name. That's over any middleweight. He's number one in the history of the division. He has the most title defenses in the history of the middleweight division in the modern boxing era, 3-belt beyond, right? Triple G, one of the greatest wins in boxing history. If you want to look at where Gennady Golovkin really stood at, Golovkin was ranked 9 out of the 10 years of this decade. Never left outside the number, well, he was number 10 breaking onto the scene. He joins the number 3 spot. And from 2013 to 2019, he's number 1, only behind Canelo Alvarez and Miguel Cotto Martinez, the lineal, the top guy. He's only behind those guys. But outside of that, he's number 1 for 6 years consecutively. All right. We can even look at, can we please get the rundown on the 2020 year? He's still ranked number 1 in 2020. Don't let me pull up 2021. 2021. He's still number 1 in 2021. 2022. What we got? Still number 1 in 2022. 2023. I think this is when he moves up and maybe fights Canelo or something. Okay, I think he does move up to super middle. And he's not ranked. Okay. But this is a guy who was almost number 1 in the division. I think he was number 1 for a decade. 2013 to 2022. He's number 1 for 9 years. I can't get over this win. This is one of the greatest wins the sport of boxing has ever seen. This win is absolutely tremendous. Right? 10 out of 10. If I didn't say that already. 10.5 out of 10 if I didn't say that. Rocky Fielding, 27-1. Let's see who Rocky Fielding was. What he was doing is a 168 fight. Rocky Fielding, last fight he lost to Dan Aziz. Never captured world title. Pretty sure he's making his world title debut against Canelo. WBC International. Lost to Callum Smith, which is okay. We know who Callum Smith is. We know the stature. Callum Smith. Rocky Fielding, he was an okay regional fighter. Didn't do much. Fought on the regional scene a lot. Dominated. He fought Callum Smith on the regional scene even. This is probably a super fight over in the UK lower level scene. And Callum Smith absolutely dominated Fielding, who was on a tear through the super middleweight division for a while in that area. So he comes back. He wins some great fights. He beats even a guy in John Ryder. And then unfortunately he runs into Canelo. Canelo stops him in 3. I get that win a good 6. It was an okay win. Then Canelo goes on. He fights Danny Jacobs. Goes back down to 160. Canelo's moving a lot. He's moving a lot. He goes back down. He fights Jacobs. This is a unified Jacobs, right? Jacobs was IBF. Canelo was WBC. Yeah, I think that's how that's working here. Now I do need to see where's the WBA at. Come on, load. Let's see, Danny Jacobs. Was the WBA also on this fight? Yes, 3-belt unified. Was Danny Jacobs the WBA champion? No, Canelo was WBC WBA. He comes back down, he fights Jacobs to unify that one belt. The WBO, I don't know who had the WBO at this point, but either way, Danny Jacobs was a really good fighter at this point. He had the loss to Golovkin. He beat Sergio Moore twice, stopped Sergio Moore twice. A really close fight with Golovkin, by the way. Really close fight. When did he become champ? His first world title fight was against P-Rog. P-Rog stopped him. 2010. I don't know when he became champ. Either way, we're all pretty accustomed with, Danny Jacobs. We know who Danny Jacobs is. Danny Jacobs is a great fighter. It's an 8.5 win for Canelo. Only lost to P-Rog, which was in 2010, almost a decade before Canelo fought him, and had a really close fight with Golovkin. He was an active world champion. Canelo took the belt from him. Then he goes on to Sergey Kovalev. Now, this is one we got to look into a bit. Sergey Kovalev. He's coming off an Anthony Yarde stoppage, but he's also coming off being stopped by Canelo Alvarez, who doesn't seem like a bad fighter himself. Doesn't seem like the worst fighter on the planet. A guy who's beaten John Pascal, even. So, let me see. This is still 2010's light heavyweight. Let's see where this Alvarez guy was ranked. He was ranked for a while, up until 2019. I don't know how I've never heard of this guy. Either way, Kovalev loses to him, gets stopped, comes back and pretty much dominates. One judge had it 121.08. Obviously, has the 2 losses to Andre Ward. The first fight was really close. I thought Kovalev maybe edged that one out. That's okay. He comes back, even though he was getting hit kind of below the belt in that one. It's all fine. He loses to Andre Ward, was the number 1 pound for pound fighter. He loses to another great fighter in a fight he was up tremendously on the cards. I don't know what happened in this fight, but he was up tremendously and he got stopped in the 7th. Comes back, beats that same guy, stops Anthony Yarde, and then gets stopped by Canelo. Where am I ranking this one? Kovalev wasn't terrible. He was not terrible. He was still a force to be reckoned with at 175. We could even look at Kovalev. He was ranked 7 years consecutively, being top 5 all 7, being top 3 for 5 out of those 7. This is a great win. Jumping from 160 straight to 175 to fight Crusher, that's a good win. That's a pretty good win. And this isn't a cherry pick. This is a challenging fight. This is still a challenging fight. Like we could see, right? He has this one loss, which I've never seen. You guys let me know, was this like a lucky, not lucky punch, but was he just up dominating and got caught? Because he came back and he absolutely dominated the guy. He was dominating him in the first fight. He's stopping Anthony Yarde, and then Canelo fights him. So it's not like Kovalev wasn't still dangerous. Was he Crusher? No, he was still dangerous. He was still champ. For a 160 guy who's 5'7" to move up and fight a guy 175 who's standing 6 feet tall, that's a tough fight. I give this fight probably an 8.5 and 9. That's a really tough fight. Canelo Alvarez goes on, moves up to super middle, or moves down to super middleweight. He fights Callum Smith. I know the WBA was on this fight. Callum Smith was 27-0. He's a WBC champion. Never been stopped or lost in his career. Never been dropped even. He was a WBC Diamond Super Middleweight champion. He was a Silver Super Middleweight champion. Like I said, he beat Rocky. He stopped Rocky Fielding and won. Beat John Ryder. He's a really dominant guy in that regional UK scene, the national scene. Probably the best guy this division had to offer from that nation. Canelo went in there and brutalized him for the WBC. Well, the WBC was vacant, okay, and he was WBA. Is he WBA? I swore Callum Smith has been champion before. It's not his first time being champ. Canelo. So yeah, he was WBA. When did he capture that title? He captured that title in 2018, lost it in 2020. He defended it 2 times. One of those being by way of stoppage. So this is Callum Smith at the absolute peak of his powers, right? Callum Smith goes on. He moves up to 175. He gets, acclimated to the weight. He gets 2 stoppage victories. He steps in there with Artur. Gives Artur a bit of a good scrap. It was one of the better wins on Artur's resume. Loses to Artur, like everyone has besides Beevil. Even Beevil did. He comes back, fights this guy, stops him in 5 in an 8-rounder. Comes back, fights a guy in Joshua Buatsi. If you know me, I was really high on Joshua Buatsi. And he beats Buatsi. Really close fight. But the 119-110 is crazy. That was that's crazy. But it was a really close fight. Callum Smith is another 8.59 win. This is a guy at the peak of his powers who's champion, who's been running through guys. I like him. Yildirim, I don't think Yildirim was too great. Yeah, I don't think Yildirim was ever great. Don't want to skip over him. Everybody deserves to be looked at a bit. Yildirim had just came off a WBC super middleweight vacant title fight against Anthony Durrell, which he lost. Was Yildirim ever champion? I don't think so. Was Yildirim... Where are we at? Where's super middleweight? Junior middleweight. Light heavyweight. Did we not have a super middleweight tab? What year are we in? 2019, right? Let's see. Avani. Yildirim was ranked 10th. Not a terrible win. I give Canelo a good 5. He's coming off a knockout loss. That was a... Oh, that's not what we wanted. That was a layup for Canelo. Then he goes on. He fights Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders was the WBO. 30-0. That was his last fight. Canelo retired him. Literally in the ring, outside of the ring, he retired him. Billy Joe Saunders captured that WBO title. He's a 2-division champion. I did not know that. So Billy Joe Saunders captured his first world title in 2015, defended that title 1, 2, 3 times, makes the move to 175, stops a guy, comes back down to 68, captures the WBO, defends that 1, 2 times. Canelo stops him, retires him. This is Billy Joe Saunders, who was really great on the regional national scene in the UK again. Canelo caught him at the peak of his powers. Again, this is a guy who was really tough to beat, really tough to figure out for a lot of guys. He didn't just win a title out of nowhere, out of coincidence. He won this title. He defended that title. He won a title in 2 divisions, defended both of them more than just one time. Canelo got him at the peak of his powers and put him down for good. I think this is another 8.59 out of 10 victory. Then he goes on, he fights Caleb Plant, who was the IBF champion, undefeated, active at the time. This win has aged pretty badly. He loses to Resendiz, right? He gets dropped by Macumbi, but ends up stopping Macumbi. Loses to Benavidez, but he knocks out Durrell right after. Right. I guess the Resendiz fight is so far from the Canelo fight. It's like, but the Benavidez fight's only 2 years after. But we know how great Benavidez is, so I don't hold it against him. What's important is that he comes back after and he stops Anthony Durrell, who, if we know Anthony Durrell was a champion. He's defended the title. He's won plenty of titles. And he went in there and stopped Durrell in 9. But at this point, Caleb Plant was undefeated. He won the IBF title back in 2019, defending it 1, 2, 3 times. was a really great win. Again, I don't think it's better than Billy Joe or Callum Smith, especially after the losses he's taken after it. But I think it's still a good 8 out of 10 win. He goes on, he loses to Bivol. We know how great Bivol is. Bivol, arguably the best light heavyweight of all time. He goes on, fights Golovkin, gives Golovkin his last paycheck for undisputed. Not a great win at this point. Golovkin, he was still the number one guy at middleweight. He was still number one. I'm pretty sure he was still unified, right? He was still beating guys in Derevyanchenko. I can't remember this guy's name. Shirameda. Hamil Shirameda, I believe. He's even beating guys in Ryota Murata. Hope I'm saying these names right, man. Who was a silver medalist. Not a great win, but he stops him in Tokyo. He's very far from it. This Golovkin, he was balding. He was a bit far from it at this point. But still a decent win for Canelo. Still not the worst win on the planet. It was the number one middleweight on the planet. All right. This Golovkin, if he was still passionate about boxing and wanted to really make a campaign at super middleweight, I mean, who is he really not beating? But now we do need to, let's see. We have 2020 here. We could close 2010s. We could close junior middleweight out. We could close light heavyweight out. What is this? Super middleweight 2010. Keep that open. See if we can get all of these open. 2021, 22, 23, 24. So, Triple G was he could have made a campaign if he was taking boxing a bit more seriously, in my opinion. And you look at the guys who were here. Come on, Zach Parker, Vladimir Shishkin. Come on, Anthony Durrell and Billy Morrell. These are good guys. John Ryder was number 3. I did not know that. We'll look more into that in a second. But, I mean, Triple G definitely was a top 10 super middleweight if he wanted to really make his splash into the division. He unfortunately did not want to do so. Canelo goes on, he fights John Ryder. John Ryder was 32-5 at the time. I don't think this was a great win. He gets stopped by McGee in the next fight, retires. He beat Zach Parker. He actually beat Danny Jacobs though. Lost to Callum Smith in a 9-3, 8-4 fight. Lost a split decision to Rocky Fielding. He's one of these UK national guys again. UK's producing some really great fighters. Don't think he ever held a world title though. 2022, like I said, John Ryder was number 3. In 2023, John Ryder was number 5. So I can't just sit here and say he was bad, just straight up trash, because it was 32-5, because he was coming off some great wins. He was ranked top 5 in the division, right? Even in 2021, let's see, he was still ranked 5. In 2020, he was still ranked 7th. So he's been ranked in the division for a couple years now. Canelo absolutely dominated Ryder. I give this win 7.5. Canelo goes on, he fights Jermell Charlo, undisputed junior middleweight champion. He's coming off the only loss to Tony Harrison, which he goes in there, he stops Tony Harrison in the rematch. He had the draw with Castaño, which was BS. He goes in there, he stops Castaño, undisputed junior middleweight champion. He takes about a year off. He comes up as a pound for pound fighter, and he gets dominated by Canelo. With the context around that fight, with him being a junior middleweight, with him having that loss to Harrison and the draw to Castaño, and him having the year layoff, and he hasn't even fought since fighting Canelo. It's another 7 out of 10 victory, 7.5 even. I'm not gonna say he's the same as Ryder. I give him about a 7.5. Then he goes on, he fights Jaime Munguia, was 43-0. But we need to look past the record. We need to see who Jaime Munguia is. Jaime Munguia, he loses to Canelo. After that, he stops this guy. I've seen this name before, just don't know how to pronounce it. It was in 2024. Where was he ranked? Let's see. He's ranked 6 in 2023. That's not how you spell it. 2022, he was still ranked. See, this guy wasn't bad. Munguia was the first guy to put him down and stop him in 10. He goes on, he gets stopped by Bruno Saras, which is a really big upset. And then he tested positive in the second fight. So bit shaky, bit rocky. Bruno Saras is no slouch himself. Being knocked out by him is a bit crazy, but no slouch. But Munguia does stop Ryder, a guy Canelo couldn't stop. Munguia does beat Sergey Derevyanchenko convincingly. I ain't gonna say convincingly. According to the judges, that was a really close bout. See, he was at middleweight. He was a junior welterweight champion. I thought Munguia was 2 division. Let's make sure. There's a big difference there. Jaime Munguia, was he 2 division? Maybe he never captured a belt at middleweight. I guess he didn't. So he was 1 division. He was junior middleweight champ, international or intercontinental champ at middleweight. Moves up undefeated, fights Canelo. Comes back after Canelo stops the top 10 guy in the 10th. Not a bad win. Another 7, about the same as Ryder, I guess. Edgar Berlanga. This is a guy I'm not giving any attention. Edgar Berlanga's not a good win. Edgar Berlanga, it's not a good win. I don't even rank him. William Skoll captured the IBF against Vladimir Shitskin, who we previously mentioned. Vladimir Shitskin was ranked 6th, right? We can see what Vladimir Shitskin's done since. He hasn't done anything since. He has a fight with Iglesias coming up, though. We'll see how he does in that. William Skoll is not a great win either. He's an okay win. It's an okay win. The performance he put on is really hurts him as well. But that is Canelo Alvarez's entire relevant resume. We covered him from 2010 up to 2025. Pretty deep, pretty in depth. A lot of 4s, right? Some 4s, 5s, 6s, right? But a lot of 8s, a lot of 8.5s, a lot of 9s, right? Most of these guys we're looking at 6.5s and up. If I had to rate Canelo's resume, with him being the 4 division, 2-time undisputed, lineal unified champion he's been, I would rank Canelo's resume a solid 9 out of 10. He has some gaps, he has some holes, he has some questionable guys, but when you look at his run from, let's say, when the last time Canelo, let's say Lara. Let's go from Lara. We know who Lara was. He was ranked in the division for years. He became champ after this fight, and he became a 2 division champ not too long ago. Kirkland, I want to say Kirkland was ranked a bit before this fight. Nonetheless, okay, victory. Miguel Cotto, great win. Slept on. Amir Khan ranked at welterweight. Moved him up. Stopped him. Okay win. Lim Smith ranked undefeated. Stopped him. Okay. Cesar Chavez, bad win. Golovkin draw. Beating Golovkin, probably the greatest middleweight win in the history of boxing. Rocky Fielding was on the tear. He got beat by Callum Smith. Canelo stopped him in 3. Okay win. Danny Jacobs, kind of at the peak of his powers at this point. Coming off the very close fight with Golovkin. Being an active IBF middleweight champion. Great win. Sergey Kovalev, coming off the stoppage of Anthony Yard. Great win. Still competitive, dangerous in that division. Great win. Jumping up 2 weight divisions. Callum Smith, peak of his powers. WBA champion. Defended that several times. Moves up to 175. Beats Joshua Buatsi. Great win. Yildirim. Billy Joe Saunders. Peak of his powers again. Running through everybody in that scene. Another great win. Canelo stopped, retired him. Caleb Plant. IBF active world champion. Same as Billy Joe Saunders, who was active. WBO champion, peak of his powers, stopped him. Only person to do so to this day, despite fighting David Benavidez. Great win. Loses to Bivol. Golovkin, number 1 middleweight even to that day. Moves him up, gives him his last paycheck. Still, really good win. John Ryder, ranked for years. Good win. Jermell Charlo, undisputed on the pound for pound. Good win. Jaime Munguia, beat a John Ryder. Stopped a John Ryder who was on the rankings. good win. Berlanga, Skull, Canelo Alvarez. If I had to rate it, like I said, I'm giving Canelo a big fat 9 out of 10. You guys let me know, how would y'all rank Canelo's resume? You guys let me know if y'all enjoyed the video or not. This stuff takes a lot of time. This video is approaching 1 hour, so I thank all you guys. I hope to see you guys in the next video. I'm losing my voice here, guys, so please support, like, share. My voice is slowly fading.